Very important aspect that we've seen in this whole situation is how we also talk about the impact on the global oil prices, obviously being the oil rich space. Also, there's a understanding this whole conflict will impact oil price. We want to understand how to look at it because sitting from India, where because there's a lot of sentimental move whenever there is a move on the war front. People just immediately relate it to the oil price dipping or surging. How would you like any layman to understand it and look at it when the wars erupt in the oil Gulf areas? Also, after that, if you can help us and understand, there's a talk about the petrodollar or the weakening of the dollar or the strengthening of the dollar strategy or the entire war being called out. Like US is trying to strengthen its dollar or protect from being weakened. Is that the underlying financial agenda that you see? And is it working in its favor when it comes to this
You
kind of an attempt?
The hope that we have is that Trump realizes that this is a failed policy and a stop.
Okay.
Once he stops the war, once he stops a blockade, we had talks with the other side last week, and 24 hours after those talks, Trump announced a blockade, which is under international law an act of war. So by stopping the war, stopping the blockade, you're going to see oil prices going down.
Hmm.
And the toll that Iran would charge, we had this Belgian think tank calculating that for every barrel it's going to come out in terms of international oil prices, it's going to come out to something between 5 cents and 40 cents.
Okay.
And we have had $40-50 increase of oil prices.
Yes.
So you bring that down, and that 40 cents, even if you get the higher number, it's not going to be much. So it's not going to, what Iran does is not going to affect negatively world economy. And the hope is that the US stops this war and stops the blockade, so you can get oil prices down, so people in India, other countries that depend on oil purchases from this part of the world can go back to normal. But we have this if. The if is Trump realizing he should end the war on Iran and stop
Do
the
you think it will
blockade.
also distance countries like India, China, whoever depend on the energy flow on Iran and other Gulf countries? They will distance ourselves from Iran and other countries. Is this going to make more distance between other partner nations because of one
I, I,
country's
I
behavior?
don't. I think they realize. I think both India and China realize
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
if the U.S. takes over the oil in Middle East,
Yes.
then that would be a leverage against especially countries like India and China,
Hmm.
because they're large economies. U.S. feels they need to slow down in terms of growth, and they're not listening. India is growing 5-6 percentage, annual economic growth is about 5 or 6 percentage. China has been growing fast for many years. So how would you, if you are an American politician like Trump, and you have no respect for international law, what would you need to slow down the economies of your competitors? If you can take over their main source of fossil fuel, that gives you a huge leverage. This is what Lindsey Graham, the American senator, said, that they want to have leverage by controlling the oil here. So I think both India and China realize that U.S. should not get away with doing what U.S. wants. It's against international law. It's against the interest of these countries, and it is against this move towards a multipolar world. The world is not going to be dominated by the United States. We have BRICS countries that are growing fast and are independent, and they want to continue this path to becoming a stronger. And they don't want the United States, a country in decline, to dictate to them what they should do or should not do. And if Americans can take over Middle East and all, this is what they're going to do. They're going to dictate to other countries.